I just think that no matter what you do in life, who you are and what how others perceive you is pretty big. And not only that, it's how you perceive yourself. And I wasn't ever afraid to, swallow my pride and let people know that, hey, right now, and for everyone who's listening to Dwanderful's show right now, I like to call her Dwanderful because she is. Everyone who's listening, the greatest gift you can give yourself is humility and being humble.
Hey. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Inside the Minds of Today's Millionaires. I am Dwanderful, America's most sought after real estate investor, and I'm so excited that you tuned in to the most wonderful real estate podcast ever. I have such a good guest for you guys today. So one of the reasons that we love to interview our successful people is to try to dig inside of their mind and figure out what it is that sets them apart. So some of you are like, oh, Dwan, I'm really trying, but I'm just kind of stuck like here. So ideally, our successful people that we're interviewing can give you an idea or a tip that can take you up here. So that is the goal of the show. Now, our motto at Dwanderful is people before profits. So if that resonates with you, you're at the right place. This is the right time. And I've got the guest for you. So my guest today is Brad Roth. Welcome, Brad.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on the show today. And you have a great podcast called Peer to Peer, which we're going to talk about.
No, my podcast is All Things Real Estate.
I'm sorry. I'm not All Things Real Estate. It's so funny. I wrote that down. I wrote down All Things Real Estate. And then I was listening to earlier on a peer-to-peer that I was just on. Right. So it's like stuck in my head.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, scratch that. He's All Things Real Estate. Now, I have it written in my book. I write down what you are. I have your name. I have your show. And
Dwan's been on my show before. So
yes, and I was on your show, which I really enjoyed. Thank you for having me on as a guest.
You were wonderful. I'm excited for it to air.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Okay, so everyone knows we start off with Drinks with Dwan, and Brad and I are going really PG today. We're having water.
That's it. We're basic. I'm at the office. PG.
We're just G-rated today.
That's it.
We're having water. So cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers to you. It's good to see you.
And it's good to see you too. And everyone just take a deep breath. Everybody clean, shake off whatever you got going on, and get ready to have some fun and some learning and some great education and just have a great open mind. So, Brad, from All Things Real Estate. And I like your logo in the back. You have all those trophies in the back. And I wanted to ask you about that when I was a guest on your show, but I didn't want to digress on what it is that you do. What are those for?
So I'm in real estate, and I've been at the same company for 23 years. And these are all awards from the time I started all the way to the bottom, all the way up.
Wow.
I'm currently was nominated and inducted into their Hall of Fame. So there's 1,500 agents, and there's 10 of us who have ever been accomplished enough to make the Hall of Fame.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so that
is so great for you. Okay, so before I start diving in, I had to ask you about that because I wanted to last time, but I thought, no, he's interviewing me, and some people don't like me to ask questions back. So I thought, I'll ask him.
I don't mind.
So basically what I want you to do is I want you to kind of give us a brief summary of who you are today, and then we're going to kind of dive backwards. So basically, what's your deal?
Well, I'm a real estate agent and sales coach. I started as a real estate agent in 1997, and currently today I've sold over $300 million in real estate.
Wow, 300 million. That's not a joke.
No, I do okay. And life's good. And I really believe in giving back and really trying to help and cultivate young or old minds of people who are interested in the real estate profession. I've been training agents for since about 2005, and that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast, the ATRE podcast, All Things Real Estate, was to try to help people understand the real estate process, the flipping process like you, and just the life process and what real estate can do for them.
Nice. So you've been investing. So now are you so you're a real estate agent and also an investor?
Yeah, I do both.
Nice. And so how did you make the switch, or not even the switch, I guess, if you're doing both, but what is the difference, I guess, for you between agent versus investor? Because so many people ask me, do you need a real estate license? And I don't have one. So I say, I don't think so. I don't have one, but you clearly do. So let's talk about that for a minute.
Sure. So you don't need a real estate license, obviously, to buy, or to flip or invest. But I think having one for me has enabled me to make better decisions and choices just because I'm in the thick of things.
Right.
But my clients who don't, like if you were my client, you don't have your license, you've got me. So you've got me to, one of the things I like to talk to my clients about is making good decisions. So people can get caught up often in a multiple bidding war or even buying something because they just want to buy it because they like Monopoly and they feel like, and I always talk to people about making good economic wise decisions for each person. Everyone's story is different. My portfolio may be different from yours, Dwan. You may be a different investor or buyer than I am. So I try to get to know each person so we can then come up with a strategy that fits each person's needs. So a new flipper, right, may come to Dwan's course and be able to learn all about flipping, and you can give them a lot of insight that you didn't know, right? That you had to learn the hard way.
Right.
Same with me. So someone can come to me. I was just on the phone with someone today, and I have a listing that in a normal market would sell for $300,000-400,000 grand. I listed it at 629, knowing it's going to sell in multiples. And he called me. He's like, "Look, I want to put my dad in this house, and I can't even believe it's selling at 629." And I'm like, "Look, man, I have offers at 700 right now, and it's been on the market for 4 hours." And
wow.
He's like, "Well, I want you to represent me." And I said, "That's great." He goes, "Well, you'll make more money, right?" I said, "Yeah, but it's not about that. Let me talk to you about your situation." So I talked to him about his situation and what all the great, and he's a flipper as well and an investor, but I talked to him about all the great moves he's made. And I said to him, to be honest with you, I'll sell you this house. Sure, I'll make more money, but I really don't think this is the house for you. I don't think this fits you financially. And I think that one bad decision can really hurt you. And I don't think this is right for you. Now, I don't know this guy. And he goes, "You're willing to give up a commission to make sure that I do the right thing?" I said, "Yeah, I am." And he goes, "Okay, I'm not going to buy the house, but I want you to be my agent." So right before I got on with you, he just texted me and he's like, "Can I send you a list of everything I'm interested in?" And I said, "Sure." Because everyone's different, Dwan. So really that's where I come in. And you're right. You don't really need a real estate agent. But if you've ever had a really good real estate agent who really cares about you,
yeah.
I think you'll see the difference.
Oh, no. I agree. Everyone needs a real estate agent for sure. I mean, one of the things I tell everybody is you have to have an investor-friendly real estate agent. Because if you're doing short sales or anything, you need people to do listing agreements for you. You need an agent. But everyone always asks me, everywhere I speak, do I need to have a real estate license?
You don't.
And I'm like, I guess it's a personal preference. I started off without one. And by the time people were asking me that question, I'd already done like 50 deals. I was like, well, I guess I don't.
And true, you have more, if you're an agent, if you want to do what Dwan's doing, and she's one of the most successful people I know, you don't need one. But again, if Dwan had her license, she would have more liability. And you don't want that liability if you don't have to have it,
No. But I think in the beginning for new people, I don't think it's a bad thing. Like you're a perfect example of the mixture of listing houses and also doing investing. I really like what you said there about telling that guy that was not the right house for him. Because as I said in my opening, our motto is people before profits. And so I am really an avid, hey, you have to be about the homeowner, or even if you're going to sell it to a rehab or a landlord, it's got to be good for everybody. If you just make it about you and the money, I believe that you're going to reap what you sow. And if it's all about the money, and I'm going to take that deal at 600,000, I'll make so much money. That's all you think about. I feel like people are going to be sadly disappointed in the trajectory of their career.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's do you want to be that burn and turn guy, or do you want to be that family member that, in all my years, if you look me up on my reviews, my clients love me and they take me everywhere. And that's only because I really do care about them. Now, I really want to see them succeed. I want to do their kids' homes and their grandkids' homes and really, want to see them succeed. But if you wouldn't mind, Dwan, I could give your listeners some advice on.
Yeah, well, we're going to ask for advice. First, I want you to tell how they can reach you. And also, folks, if you're busy doing something and you're kind of listening in the background, it'll be in the show notes. So I want to make sure we say at the beginning and also at the end how everyone can reach you.
Okay. So what would you like me to say now?
Just tell us how we can reach you.
So you can reach me. You can email me at bradrothgroup@gmail.com. And you can also reach me at atrepodcast@gmail.com. And you can listen to my podcast on all the major podcast sites. It's ATRE Podcast or All Things Real Estate with Brad Roth. And you can also see us on YouTube, ATRE Podcast or All Things Real Estate with Brad Roth.
That's a good name. All Things Real Estate.
I trademarked that name, by the way.
I know. You told me. I was like, oh, I should have thought about that. I just went with my name, Dwanderful. Oh, that'd be fun. But then I was like, awesome. All Things Real Estate. All Things Real Estate.
Everything.
All things. I said, dang, I should have thought about that. That's a great name.
Thank you so much.
It's a great, and it's a good thing you did trademark it, because everyone will be trying to snatch it away from you.
They still are. They still are.
I know. I trademarked short sales back in the 90s because I wrote the very first training program for investors. I wrote a book. I started doing them. I trademarked it. And I have a registered trademark as it applies to real estate, because the word short sales also applies for stock market. There's a lot of things that short sales apply to. So I do have them. People always go, this should go trademark. I'm like, it's got a big old R on it, and I do have it. And but then but what am I going to tell people? You can't use the word to write a book. It's like, no, talk about it.
It's and I'm all about, look, I got an email from a couple different people who are doing podcasts with All Things Real Estate, and I had sent them a letter, and then they said, what is this? And I said, you know what, if you're cool and we're not bugging each other, go ahead, do what you want. People will find me. I'm not worried about it because they're not even using it that much. But I got a letter. You talk about helping people, right? I got a cease and assist letter from a woman in Portland who uses All Things Real Estate. She has a trademark, but she only has it for keychains and books and things. And she has a company called All Things Real Estate just in this little small area. And she started doing a podcast. And I said to her, hey, I have the trademark for the podcast. And she sent me, and I said, but we could, I don't really care. You could use it as long as, we're not bugging each other. Who cares? She sent me the nastiest letter you've ever seen back and told me that I'm riding on her coattails. And she has 0 viewers, 0 listeners. And I said to her, listen, I think you might want to contact your attorney and talk to them, show them my trademark.
You need to send her a picture of all those trophies back behind.
Not only that, it's
right here.
Yeah, and my thousands of viewers on my show. And I go, if that's how you feel, that's okay. I mean, look, Dwan, it's all about, it is what it is. I'm not worried. It's a great trademark,
but that's the thing about trademarks is you have to trademark. I had to trade mine specific to real estate and education. You just can't take the whole word and go, this is for all of the world.
Mine is only for podcasts and entertainment. So if you were to do a TV show, anything entertainment, mine is, which is fine with me. That's what I'm using it for.
Hey, we should start a TV show called All Things Real Estate.
I like it. Let's do it.
All right, so let's kind of go. How old are you?
My birthday is this Saturday, and I will be 51 years old.
Hang on, I dropped my pen.
Okay.
I have to have my pens. I have to take notes. 51. You're looking good, man. 51.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that decade. I'm a whole decade past that at this point.
No way.
So you've been, so I want to kind of go back a little bit.
Sure.
I always like to find out what people were doing when they were younger.
Yeah.
I feel like kind of what people were doing when they were younger definitely has a direct correlation to what they're doing now. Yeah. So like Brad Roth, like 14, 15, 16.
Can we go back a little further?
We can go back to when
I'd love to tell you.
And happy birthday, by the way. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'd love to tell you about how I first got started in sales.
Oh, yes. I want to hear about that.
So I was 6 years old and I was selling chocolate bars for school. And I wanted this shirt. And the shirt was the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band t-shirt. It was yellow. And I really wanted it. And my dad said, okay, son. I said, Dad, can you bring these chocolate bars to work? And he said, absolutely not. But I'll walk you door to door and you can sell them. And I was like, why? He says, because I'm not going to do the work for you. I said, okay. So we walked door to door and he stayed at the end of the driveway and I walked up and said, I'm like, hi, I'm Brad and I'm selling chocolate. And for $1 and you can get a free McDonald's thing on the back. And I won my t-shirt and I'll never forget the feeling I had. So then a few years later, I noticed that kids at school were eating Now or Laters, the Now or Later candy.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, Dad, I want to sell these at school. This was 1980. I was 10 years old. And he's like, okay, son. So he brought me to the store where the ice cream men bought their Now or Laters. And I bought a big, huge thing of Now or Laters and they cost about $10 a pack. So I bought, 100 of them. And then I brought them to school. And at recess, I would sell them for 25 cents a pack. So I was making 150% and on my Now or Laters. So that's how my entrepreneurial side came in. And I realized right then and there that I never wanted to work by the hour, that I felt that it would be really, it would be, shackling for me. When I hit 15, I decided to give that a test. Well, first of all, I worked at 10 also at Bellhop Cleaners for $1.25 an hour. And I was taking receipts and putting them in A, B, C, D, because there was no computers back then.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, I worked 3 hours. I made $3.25. I made more than that at recess. Right. So then when I hit 15, my dad's like,
oh my God, you must have been so cute.
Yeah. So then my dad's like, you need a job. I was 15. I'm like, okay. So I got a job working at Jack in the Box.
Oh yeah. I remember Jack in the Box.
And I worked at both of those places, but again, you're not making much money. It was like $3.35 an hour. And I'm like, okay, this isn't great. So then I went to my gym where I was working out and the guy's like, you'd be a great salesman. Let me hire you. I'm like, all right, great. You can hire me. So he hired me to do sales. So in high school, I was making like $500 a week in like 1985, 86. $500 a week just selling gym membership because I was so good at it and figuring out it was like sales 101 because you're sitting with people older than with you, teaching you how to sell, watching people, figuring out ways to do that. Then I went from there. I started delivering pizzas as well, but I knew that I could make really good money with good customer service, right? Uh-huh. So I would deliver pizzas and I'd give people like a free salad here and there if I was late and, hey, how are you? And I'd get to know people and ask their names. And pretty soon they were asking for me and, I'm getting $5 and $10 and $20 tips. And again, making a couple, $200-$300 extra a week. I mean, in high school, I was walking away between the two jobs with, between $2,000 and $4,000 a month.
In high school. Oh my gosh.
And I was like,
so great,
I was taking girls out and spending tons of money. And, and then I got into, college and I'm going to college and I'm still doing all this. And I was doing acting. I was an actor. Uh-huh. So I was like, I will never forget. I took this girl out in college and I rented an airplane. I took her to dinner and then I rented an airplane and had a pilot drive us around Los Angeles and with a bottle of champagne.
And that's so romantic, though.
And my mom raised me well. And I remember like going to the sorority house to pick this girl up and like, oh, where are you taking her today? Because like most people are like, McDonald's, they're in college. I'm like, oh, I'm taking her out on an airplane and this and that. And like, they're like, what? But that's what I have always liked to do. So those are the things those are the kind of jobs I had, from acting. And, at one point I did telephone sales for a company called Quality Water, if I remember correctly, selling like water. I sold gold online, like not online, on the telephone. Any sales job I could get. I remember being broke, Dwan, and my dad was a financial consultant. And my dad's like, look, you want to work? You can come work for me. He goes, here's the phone book. There was no internet. He goes, here's the phone book. And I go, okay. And I go, no problem, Dad. And he goes, really? I go, yeah. I go, what do you want me to do? He goes, I want you to tell people that I would like to see them about their finances. So my dad's name was Len Roth. He now has passed away. And I would call and I'd pick up the phone book and I'd pick out business owners and I'd say, hey, my name is Brad Stevens, because my middle name was Steven. And I didn't want people to know I was related to him because of nepotism. So I said, hi, my name is Brad Stevens. And Len Roth asked me to give you a call because he would like to go over your finances and let you know what he thinks would work for you. And I got him a ton of appointments. He goes, Brad, I have never in my life had anyone get me these kind of appointments. And that was it. And sales. I just enjoy it. I love making a difference.
I love hearing that. I tell people all the time, and I know people won't do it, but if somebody just got a job in a telemarketing room for 30 days.
Boiler room.
Just in a boiler room. I mean, I worked in a couple of them. I even managed one. I had 24 people. And I thought, I don't know even what I'm doing to manage all these people. I have no idea. But I was really good at sales too. I tell people all the time, if you would just work 30 days,
you'll get it.
In there, you would make so much more money, because all those fears and all that worry about people yelling at you.
Yeah, or the people yelling at you.
Face,
yeah. Remember those days? Dwan, remember the days when you were working in the boiler room and you're on the phone trying to close someone and you got your manager here yelling at you going, tell him this. And you're like, you don't know what he's saying. Like, and then ding, 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 ding. And you've got everything going crazy, but exactly what you said. That's how you earn your stripes.
Boiler rooms. Oh my God. My first one I ever worked in, I didn't really understand. I didn't understand like the whole, really what I was doing. It was something I did right after my husband and I split up, before I got into real estate. I had like a very short little window there. And I applied for this job because it had a base. They had a $400 a week base, and it said you make phone calls. I'm like, okay, well, I can do that. I mean, who can't do that? So I did not understand. So it's a room full of people. And I'm in the last chair. So what's happening is there's an infomercial running. And when people say, go to call now, the phones start ringing. So the guy in the first chair, his phone just rang. He gets as many calls as he can take, and they just roll over to the end, because they don't know how good you are. Right. Well, but I don't know, a weekend, I got moved up like to chair number 10. And I was like, oh, hey, what's happening right here? So now I'm understanding that it's because I'm making a lot of good sales. Well, it only took a couple more weeks, and I came in one day and they put me in the first chair. And the guy that had been in the first chair had worked there for like a year. He was so pissed. And they're like, well, your sales are the highest, and and your closing ratio is unusually high, and we're going in the first. And I was just like, oh, I'm in the first.
Good for you. Yeah.
And I was like so excited. But then, after like 2 months, I thought, okay, I cannot continue this on. I need to raise my daughter, work for myself. This is not going to help. But I felt like it really helped me be more comfortable talking to people. Yeah. Because you're just answering the phone. You don't know who's on the other end of you. I wish people would actually do that. And I never really tell anybody that, because people just assume I went like the minute from single to the next day I was flipping deals. It's like, no.
You don't get the in-between hard
There was
work.
a little in between there. I had to like eat. But I worked in a boiler room, my first one, and they offered me a management position and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, well, okay, do I do it and possibly be there forever? Or do I really do what I want and just branch out on something on my own? But what a good experience.
I ended up selling cars before real estate.
Did you? So you're just all sales.
I was the top guy there. And I said to them, I want to quit and get into real estate. And they pulled me aside and said, look, we are going to promote you. We want you to manage and general manage and maybe one day own. And we really think that you're the guy for us. But, you don't want to get into real estate. You're not going to make any money in real estate. And I said, I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And I made my mind up and I left.
There you go. So when did you full time, you stopped all the other stuff and the real estate, you were on your own?
Yeah.
So how old were you then?
Well, so I was 27, and what happened was, um, when I was 25, my mother, who was only 54 at the time, was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And so
Wow. Gosh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's so young.
horrible, yeah, at 54. So at 27, I said, she's getting worse. I need to find a job that's going to help support my mom. And my brothers and sisters said, we'll take care of mom. We'll pay for it. You don't worry about a thing. You just get into real estate and you live your life. I said, absolutely not. I said, part of my job is to help you guys.
That's right.
So I said, look, I financially, I can't give you money right now, but what I can do is take mom with me on days and help. And they said, okay, sure. So what I did is I took, first of all, I have a picture here of, this is my mom and I at my sister's wedding. I was
hold that up a little bit.
I was 15 years old there. And I put that in my drawer. It's still there. And 25 years later, and I used that for motivation. And what I did is I used to take my mom with me on appointments. So I was a brand new real estate agent, didn't have any clients. And I would say to my mom, I'd bring her into the bullpen where you would sit. And I'd say, Mom, just sit in the corner here. And afterwards, I'm going to get you ice cream and a fillet of fish. And I'll take you to the arcade, but I need to make some calls. So I would make calls to clients. My mom would sit in a corner. People would come in. And then if a client said, yeah, I'd like to see you right now, I'd say, okay. I have my mother with me today and she has Alzheimer's. Is it okay if I bring her? And my mom ended up being a great closer.
I bet she did.
She'd come sit with me and they could see what kind of character I had. And a lot of people would say to me, I'm so sorry that you have to go through this. And I said, I'm not. I say, taking care of a parent is one of the most beautiful things you can do. I'm lucky and that I can do this. And I got to spend some more time with her. And we did that. And that worked out, and my family was really great. So that worked out well.
Oh, God, that's like the sweetest story. That just makes me want to give you a hug. That's like here, a little air hug. It's like the sweetest story I've ever heard. And, people probably just thought like, wow, look at him taking care of his mother. He's got to be a good guy.
Yeah. I just think that no matter what you do in life, who you are and what how others perceive you is pretty big. And not only that, it's how you perceive yourself. And I wasn't ever afraid to, swallow my pride and let people know that, hey, right now, and for everyone who's listening to Dwanderful's show right now, I like to call her Dwanderful because she is. Everyone who's listening, the greatest gift you can give yourself is humility and being humble. And when I first started in real estate, I took a list of all the top producers in my area. And I called them up and I said, hi, you don't know me, but my name is Brad Roth, and I'd like to take you to lunch. I said, I want to be who you are. I'd like to pick your brain. So people would say, wow, sure, because they don't get those calls. So I'll never forget, I had taken someone to lunch one day and we went to pay. And I pulled out I had nickels, dimes, and quarters. And I'm like, 25, 50, 35, $1. And I'm 25. That's embarrassing. However, the guy sitting across from me, he's like, man, no, I got this. Don't worry about it. And I go, no, absolutely not. I said, as embarrassing it is for me right now to count out my change, I said, I want to be able to ask you any question I want. I want to earn this. And the way I'm feeling right now, I promise you I'll never feel like that again. And I'm actually quite proud of myself that I actually have this to pay. And he said, no problem. And I did it. And those are the kind of things that you build strength from and character from.
Wow, you do. Oh, gosh, I love your story. It's so great. I did not know any of this about you. I've watched your shows and listened to stuff. I didn't know any of this about you.
Thank you.
This is why I like to dig in. See, right there, like taking care of your mom, learning about the candy bars when you were 6, you're taking a girl on an airplane date. I mean, come to think about it, my husband in 20 years has never taken me on an airplane date. So tell him to step up his game.
Yeah, I proposed to my wife on a helicopter.
Oh, that is so sweet. And did she say yes, I'm going to assume?
She did. I was going to dump her out if she didn't. So I put her up high enough to where.
That's kind of the thing. It's like, listen, you're in a helicopter, so say yes, or I can just, one push away. One push away.
You've got 2 choices. You're going to land either way. You want the hard way or the soft way.
That is so funny. Oh, so I'm just going to ask, are you still married?
I am. My wife's a better closer than me, by the way.
Is she?
When I met her, we had met on the computer, and she literally, I sent out the same email to like 50 girls because I was sick of writing the same thing. So I said, I'm going to write a really well thought out email that really puts my heart out there with my picture. And someone wants me, great. If they don't, great. Well, I got a lot of responses. I'm a pretty good writer. And so my wife had sent me this, here's my, email, my phone number, my fax number, my this, my that. And I didn't call her. Then I called her and I left her a message. Well, she calls me up and she goes, hey, how you doing? This is Justine. I just want to know what you were doing tonight. And I'm like thinking, oh God, I don't remember her because I sent out like emails. So she goes, well, listen, she goes, I'll tell you what I'll do for you. She goes, she's telling me what she's going to do for me now. Now I've been drinking and I'm like getting ready to go to a bar. And she goes, I was canceled on tonight. I had some plans. So if you want to meet me, I'll come meet you wherever you want. And I go, I've got plans with like 3 or 4 people. And I didn't want to tell her. I didn't remember who she was. She goes, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you 1 hour to meet me. I'll come anywhere you are. I'll give you 1 hour. She goes, if you don't meet me tonight, throw my number away because I'll never meet you ever.
Wow.
Yeah. So at that time I was renting a house.
She did the takeaway.
Yeah, she did. And at that time I owned it was my first or second house I had. And I said to my buddy, because he was renting a room for me, I'm like, dude, I don't remember who this girl is. He goes, would you mind if my girlfriend and I brought you there? We'll sit at the bar across because we need a good laugh. And I'm like, sure. So he brings me there. He sits across in the bar and it was love right there. She was great. So.
Wow. What? You just have so many good stories. That is so sweet. She literally did a takeaway on you.
She totally did the takeaway. And I was like, holy shit. Like, what do I do?
I need to interview her on my podcast.
Good. She's a
how long have y'all been married now?
I don't know. 17 years.
Nice. 17 years is awesome. Yeah, we just had our 19th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
I know, it's really great. I mean, sadly, Bill was my third husband, so I had it. The other ones I just did my practice runs.
That's it. They were the guinea pigs.
I finally got it right this time. So I was like, hey, listen, I finally got it right.
Marriages work either way, whether it's your first or your third. It's work. It's just like selling houses or doing anything else. You're going to reap what you sow. You're going to, you put into the universe. I believe when I pray, I don't just ask God. God's creation is the universe. So I ask for God in the universe to show me the way.
Nice. Well, marriage is work. People just think like, oh, you just get married. And, I always tell people something that I notice is that everyone works so hard to like plan their wedding and their honeymoon. But then I don't hear people telling me, here's what we're going to do after. I think they just think like, oh my gosh, I'll just be like dating. It'll be so fun. Like it'll never end. The party never ends.
It ends.
You get going and, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, you get going along and it does take maintenance. It takes maintenance and it takes works and it takes prayer and it takes God and it takes all of that.
And it takes communication.
Uh-huh. And I have a really great marriage, but there's been times, I guess we all have certainly had times where I was just like, what was I thinking?
Yeah, of course. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. And my wife and I get along really well. However, I'm not the easiest guy. Sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, I would not want to be married to you because I can be crass. I can be tough. I can be short-tempered. I'm in the middle of, it's very hard to be negotiating, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 deals at a time, then come home to life. And you can be very short-tempered. So I have to always work at, trying to not lecture. I lecture my wife to death. This poor woman must just, she lost her hearing in one of her ears from Meniere's disease. So she one of her ears, she probably can't hear very well out of. The other one, I bet oftentimes when I'm speaking, she wishes she couldn't hear. I think she'll go on the other side so she can't.
My husband gives me a similar excuse. He used to be a professional painting contractor. And back in the day, like in the 70s and 80s, they had to wear those masks with but the motor for the ventilator was right on your ear. So on one of his ears, he's like completely, and I'm like, listen, do you seriously not hear out of the ear, or you just say that so you can ignore me sometimes?
Selective hearing.
That's what I told him. Yes. So he's always like, you got to get over here on my good side. I was like,
we all have it.
So tell me about, I want to ask you, so I want to ask you a couple things. First of all, I want you to tell us a little bit about one of your best deals and one of your worst deals.
Sure.
And then I want you to give us 3 tips that listeners can actually implement and take into action. And it's something that they could do right now to get on the path to real estate investing.
Sure.
Like 3 actionable tips.
Okay. Well, let's talk about it's funny. One of the worst deals I've had is happening right now. It's about to close, but it's been hell. And it's only due to communication. So anyone who's listening, communication is key. We can get through anything together as long as you remember that, not to burn and turn. Your deals, whether you're an investor, a buyer, a seller, an agent, doesn't matter. Make sure you communicate. So I have a deal right now that is closing 2 months late. And my client's an investor. We flipped it. But the problem is, and he loves me because why? Every day I call him. Even if I don't want to have an update, I'll go, dude, I don't have an update. I can't get a hold of this agent. I can't get a hold of the lender. I don't know what to tell you. Here's what my plan is. Here's how we're going to attack this through cancellation and other things. And he appreciates it. Now, I have went through hell trying to get a hold of the lender and the agent and everybody else. I've kept the deal together. However, it's really been hard. It looks like we got the rest of the money in finally today, closing 2 months late at $200 a day per diem. So this, they really did not take care of their client well. So if you're an investor or a buyer, you really need to make sure that if anything's not closing on time, make sure that your real estate agent is on top of things and is communicating with the other agent. And because if you're going to get into real estate, what you don't understand sometimes is we're a close, tight-knit community. And if you are causing shenanigans and not being very honest, when your name comes across my desk or someone else's desk again, you may not get that deal.
That's right.
So you really have to pay attention to who you're using as a real estate agent. Look at their reviews from the past few years, 10, 20 years. See what people say about them.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. People don't understand that investing, it is a tight knit. If you're in a certain area and there's a RIA group and somebody's a scumball, you just let other people know, and it does not take long to get the message out.
Yeah. And a lot of investors don't realize that, they go, "Oh, I'm an investor. You're lucky to have me." And I'm like, I've got 30 investors. I want to work with the investor who wants to build a relationship with me. I want to build a relationship with an investor who says, "Look, I understand. I'd like you, I'm going to give you the property back. So I'd like you to maybe not do it for full commission. However, let's build a relationship together. If you can get me this amount of money over what I want, I'd be more than happy to pay you what you normally, charge." If you're fair as an investor, that agent is just going to want to do more and more business with you.
Agreed. We had the same agent for 20 years, and we buy properties sometimes from an online auction. Yeah. And there's a thing there that says, "Do you have a real estate agent?" So we just put in his name and put his information in, and he'll get a check. And he's like, "What's this check from?" It's like,
for a couple $1,000s.
We bought it online, and he's like, "Well, I didn't help you." It's like, you didn't have to. You've helped me in everything.
And that's you're really wonderful. And that's great that you do that. And he appreciates it, or she.
His name is Scott. Yeah. He got an $8,000 check not very long ago.
Good job,
from an
Scotty.
auction house. And he called us. He's like, "I had to call you. It had to be from you." I was like, "Yeah, surprise."
Awesome.
Yeah. And
you're very loyal. So you get it. And that's important. So just remember to be good to your agents and make sure that they're good to you. And it's a symbiotic relationship.
And loyalty, you said a good word there. Being loyal is so important because we are in such a cancel culture right now that if you say one thing, you're like, shut off TV or the internet, whatever.
Right.
And it's like, there's no loyalty in you. That's one thing I hate about our society right now is that there's just no loyalty.
Yeah.
And
Loyalty
if
is
you have a
important.
good agent or a good investor, just stay loyal, because in the really long, big picture, you'll make each other both so much more money. And it's worth having that great relationship.
Everyone is entitled to make a living. Remember that. Everyone's
Yep.
entitled to make a living. Just do it with honest intentions and have good integrity. And then you asked me about the best deal.
Yeah, let's hear about one of your best deals. It doesn't have to be the most money, just one of your like a deal that you look back, you're like, man, that was a great deal.
Yeah. So I got to tell you, most of my deals are great deals. They're really good. My clients, I'm really lucky. And I, because I've been doing it for so long, you know, the great deals are the ones that for me close and then a year or two later. And it happens not as much as I'd like to, but it happens a lot where I'll just be sitting at home talking to my wife or kids, and I'll look at my phone and there's a text from a past client and it'll say, picture of their backyard. And they'll say, or they're drinking some wine and they say, we just wanted to say thank you. Like, it's been 5 years and we know that we owe this to you.
Oh,
And I get that. And those are great deals for me.
yeah.
Financially, everything's great. Maybe I haven't sold them something in 5 years, but I know that I made an impression on their life. And to be able to make a difference in someone's life is so important to me.
It is. It's my number one reason for teaching and training is because, first of all, I want to help people be financially free and be free of the boss and the restrictions. But I also want them to help all these homeowners that are in foreclosure because they don't have anybody.
No. And
someone needs to come to their rescue. And I feel like that's sort of the job as investors.
Yeah.
I dedicate so much of my time teaching and doing podcasts and seminars and training people. It's like, listen, I can help 100 people a year, but if I teach 100 of you and you each help 100 people a year,
you're helping a lot more. Yeah.
Look how many people we helped.
And, I do foreclosures and in the downtime, and I'm the one who knocks on the door a lot that says, hey, I'm sorry, the bank is taking your home. And they know it's coming, but oftentimes they're embarrassed and act like they don't. And, I'll sit with them and I'll say, I'm really sorry. Let's go over, let me see how I can help you. This is what the bank's offering you. This is what you can walk away with. This is how the home needs to be. I've been in your position. And, it's people just need to know that they're left with some dignity.
Yeah.
And that they can go on.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know if I told you, I probably didn't say this when I told you my story, but I also, besides going through my divorce and all the crazy, I also went through a foreclosure. So one of the first things I started telling people right out of the gate is like, listen, it just happened to me and nobody came to help me. I would have given anything for someone like me or you to have knocked on my door.
Yeah.
And people were like, you went through it. I'm like, girl, I got you. Yeah. And I sometimes, that's why I always tell people, like, for me, my mess became my message.
That's right, Dwan. That's wonderful. Yeah. I was, in 2007, I was pretty much going bankrupt. Losing my house. So ironically, I was knocking on people's doors while I was losing my house.
Yeah.
I luckily saved my house, but I remember, pulling over and just crying in my car because I had a wife and 2 kids at home. They were babies and I just didn't know what to do. And
I always tell people, listen, there ain't no shame in your game. If you went through something, share it with people because you're not the only one. Other people are going through stuff too. And there's nothing better. And it's not that you want other people to go through something bad, but there's a little bit of like, okay, well, I'm not a total loser because this amazing 2 people went through something as well. It's just part of life.
It makes you stronger if you learn from your mistakes.
What's an old saying? If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. All right. So give us 3 tips that we could use today to help us. It doesn't even have to be about real estate investing. I just think any 3 tips that you have are going to be great because I'm going to tell you something. You are so interesting and you are so wise.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're wise. I'm thinking like this guy's like Solomon. He's like wise. You're very wise.
You're sweet. Thank you.
I really love that. No, you're like my favorite person I've ever interviewed.
You're sweet. Thank you. Tips. Life tips again is just always remember when you're encountering someone and you want to lose it, you don't know their struggle. You don't know what they're going through. try to take a step back and be that more composed person and ask questions. By asking questions, you're often going to learn a lot, and you can really, really find a different path to take. And just think of yourself. I think if you're think of yourself as a real estate agent, I think of myself as part fireman and part psychologist with a dash of real estate.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, I'm constantly putting fires out, and I'm constantly listening to people's problems, which I'll gladly do, and have empathy. Empathy is really important. I think if you have empathy and you have an attitude of gratitude, as my dad always said, if you have an attitude of gratitude and you live your life trying to take the positive rather than the negative, I think that's the best advice I can give.
Nice. So are those all three of our tips rolled up right there?
Yeah.
Being kind, compassionate, and have empathy.
Yep.
I love it. And it is because, people, you don't know what they're going through. It's like when you were taking your mom with you, people didn't understand what you were going through. I was taking my little baby hanging on my hip. People didn't know what was happening behind that. They just know what they see.
And then what's the other thing you had asked me to do today? There was
okay, well, we're not there yet. We're almost there. Tell me what's your favorite food?
I like sushi a lot.
Oh.
So I like, if I'm going to go out, like my wife and I love sushi. But I also love to smoke, like barbecue. I like to take some good tri-tip and beer can chicken, and I like to do that kind of stuff a lot.
Oh, me too. I come out your direction. We are going for sushi.
Right. Let's do it.
I love sushi. What's your favorite band of all time?
My favorite band of all time. So I'm an 80s guy, man. I'm a rocker. I don't have an all time. I like the whole genre from the 70s to the 80s, but I've been to a lot of Journey concerts. I like Journey. I like, Steve Miller Band. I'm a good old boy. I just like to listen to music and I really like Rupert Holmes, and I like Chicago.
Yeah. Oh my God. My husband watches Chicago every day on the daily.
Chicago's awesome.
It is Journey. It's so funny. I never saw Journey back, and we went to some concert not a couple years back that had like Styx and the Eagles, and I think Journey was the other band. And I was like, wow, look at this. And where's your favorite place to go? Do you have like a favorite place that you're just like, oh man, or it doesn't even have, it could be your own home. Do you just have like a favorite place that you love to go and like the way you feel when you're there?
Yeah, I've traveled quite extensively, but for me, going to Hawaii, I was with my dad before he passed. We would take the whole family to Hawaii every year. There was 20 of us, and we would go like every year or two. And I love to stand in the ocean at the Hilton Hawaiian Village and look out at the ocean, and just, it's very peaceful for me. And I like to think about my dad and the conversations that we've had. And I do that with my kids now. And I just got back about 2 weeks ago, and it's something I enjoy.
Which island do you go to?
So we have.
What's your favorite?
My favorite's Maui. However, Honolulu at the Hilton Hawaiian Village, I love because of my father.
Nice. It's so weird because not really a lot of people ever say Hawaii, but that's one of the places that I go where I feel different there.
Yeah.
There's something
my bones don't hurt so much there. My old bones feel good there.
Yeah, maybe that's it. It's so funny. My husband and I were just talking like a week ago, like, man, we have got to get back to Hawaii.
Yeah.
But with the traveling, who knows? All right. So everyone that listens to Dwanderful on the regular, they know about my 5 equities of life. And the 5 equities, in case you're new, are financial, spiritual, physical, mental, and family. So at the end of every podcast, I always give everyone an assignment under one of those categories of a life equity. So I always like to have our guests honor us. So give us a life equity and give us an assignment. And just so all of you know, I tell the person I'm in an interview, I told Brad about the assignment, but I never let them tell me what it is in advance, because I want to have a fresh reaction to what it is. So what are we going to be doing this week, Mr. Brad?
Well, I think that, so for me, I had mentioned having an attitude of gratitude. So for me, gratitude's a big thing, but you can't really have gratitude if you don't love yourself and you really don't understand who you are as a person. So one of the ways I found out who I was as a person was I would look at myself every day and I would tell myself I loved myself, but I'd look at myself in a mirror. Now, I don't just look at myself and go, I love you, bye. You got to look. Can I tell you, that's what I did, but let me tell you what the assignment would be so you understand what I mean.
Okay, so are we putting this under mental?
Yeah. So
okay, mental category. Okay, and what is
putting
our
this on?
assignment?
I'm putting this on. This would be like your listeners' homework. So
Okay.
what I did is I would go and I'd stand in front of a mirror and I'd say, I love you. And I'd look at myself. And then I would look at myself and I go, no, I love you. And I know you guys, you can't do it without laughing at first. But you do it every single day, like 10, 15 times, just once, but like 10, 15 times in the mirror at that time. And what you'll end up doing is you almost step out of who you are and you realize that you aren't looking at yourself, but you're looking at yourself in different stages of your life. And you'll start to see the vulnerability that you have in your heart and in who you are. And when you start to understand the pain that you're feeling inside, because everyone needs to know that someone loves them, but more than anything in the world, you need to know that you love yourself. And when you know that you love yourself and you really believe that you love yourself and you care about yourself, you're going to hear yourself more. You're going to be more intuitive. You're going to be more successful, and you're going to be able to listen to what's in your heart.
Wow. I'm telling you, you should be like a therapist with your own talk show and let people just come and bare their souls.
Thank you. That's sweet.
Really, that is so wonderful. And honestly, people don't have enough self-love.
Yeah.
They
Very
don't.
important.
They really don't. I've gone through all kinds of phases where I did and didn't. And now I'm just like, you know what? I like me. I love me.
I like you too.
Well, I like you too, Mr. Brad. And so tell us one more time how people can reach you.
So you can reach me you can give me an email, bradrothgroup@gmail.com. You can also email me on my podcast at atrepodcast@gmail.com. And you can listen to my podcast, ATRE Podcast or All Things Real Estate on YouTube, ATRE Podcast with Brad Roth, or any major podcast sites such as Spotify or Apple iTunes, Pandora, Alexa. And I've made all my podcasts, between 20 minutes and 40 minutes. So they're great to listen to in the car, just like Dwan's.
Yep. Yeah. My normal Tuesday one is 30 minutes. But when I interview people, I like to dig a little bit deeper. And I find that people stay tuned and listen.
Good.
They do listen. Because you gave out just so much really thoughtful, wise information today. Really, seriously. And folks, for those of you that are listening, Brad and I both want our podcast to be number one, and we cannot do that without you. So when you listen to my show, I want you to give me a 5-star review and write an amazing rating and a review. But I also want you to go to All Things Real Estate and listen to Brad. And in fact, you can watch my interview over there, but he's, I'm sure, interviewed some great people as well. And give him a nice 5-star review, and also write a nice ranking and review, I guess, stars and reviews, because we can't grow and spread the good messages out unless we have your help. So Brad, let me just see if we have discovered a little bit about what's inside the mind of Brad Roth. You can tell me how I did today. So your podcast is All Things Real Estate. You're currently 51 years old. You have been married for 17 years. You've done $300 million worth of deals. You started realizing the power of money selling little chocolate bars when you were 6 years old, and carried that on through and have been in sales for a long, long, long time. And you went on an airplane date, which I love. And you met your wife online where she did the major takeaway and pulled you straight in.
Yeah.
I love that. And your very worst deal is the one you're working on right now. And I get that $200 a day per diem adds up really quickly. So right now you're in like real estate hell, but you're going to come out fine on the other side. Oh, yeah. All of your deals are your best deals. And you're advising us to be kind, compose, and have empathy and have compassion for people.
That's right.
You like sushi, Journey, and Hawaii.
That's it. Nice. I like to have sushi, listen to Journey, and lay on the beach in Hawaii.
Oh my God, I am right there with you. We need to make a double date and go and
let's do it.
That would be my ideal day as well. And have a little bit of some rum runners, and I'd be just like right there in heaven. And our life equity this week is mental. And we're going to stand in front of the mirror and we're going to say, I love you.
That's right. Several times.
Mean it.
Yes.
And we're going to say it a bunch of times every day until the thing is that your mind believes what it hears. So when you say every day, I love you to yourself, eventually your mind goes, you know what? We do love each other. I love you too. And then your life starts getting along better. So do you have any last parting words of wisdom for the folks before we wrap up today?
Yeah, I would say think big.
Oh, I like that.
Think big. Don't short shrift yourself. And just remember, everything you've ever done in your life, you've learned it from someone. You've learned it from someone. So don't be afraid to learn. Go take Dawn's courses, Dwan's courses. I called you Dawn. I apologize.
That's okay.
And go take Dwan's courses and, learn.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I love that. I'm a huge, big thinker person myself, so I love anything where you have to think big. Well, Brad, it is really, honestly, it's been my honor to interview you today. You have just been so sweet, and you really are just such a wise, gentle spirit. I just really love that about you.
Thank you so much. You too.
So everyone, listen to All Things Real Estate with Mr. Brad Roth. And folks, we'll be back next week. So just remember, the truth is in the red letters. And we'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Ciao, everybody. Goodbye, Brad.
Bye. Thank you.